Have you ever felt a sudden tightness in your chest, like the air around you is closing in and your breath is no longer yours? It might come while you're sitting alone, or when you're surrounded by people, at home, at the market, in the middle of a quiet afternoon. Suddenly, your thoughts race, your heart pounds, and a wave of anxiety rises without warning. If you've experienced this, you're not alone. Anxiety has quietly become one of the most common forms of suffering in modern life, especially as we grow older, when our surroundings change, loved ones pass, and the silence around us grows louder. Our inner world can become more unsettled. Many people try to fight anxiety by avoiding it, numbing it, or pretending it doesn't exist. But Buddhist wisdom offers a different way. What if you didn't have to fight it? What if peace could be found not in escape, but in stillness? Not outside of you, but inside. There is a truth passed down through centuries of Buddhist practice, a simple, gentle truth, that in every breath there is a door back to calm, a door back to clarity, a door back to the present moment. In this video, we will explore 3 simple yet powerful Buddhist breathing techniques. They don't require any special tools or long hours of practice. All they ask is your presence. If you've been searching for a way to find peace when anxiety rises, I invite you to stay with me. Let us breathe together. Let us return home to ourselves. Starting now. Anxiety is not new. Long before the modern world gave it a name, the Buddha understood its nature. In the teachings of the Buddha, anxiety is not seen as a personal flaw, a medical condition, or a weakness to be ashamed of. It is a natural experience of the human mind, a symptom of a deeper misunderstanding. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when we become attached to things that change, to people, to outcomes, to expectations, to the illusion of control. The more tightly we hold on, the more we fear losing. The more we fear losing, the more anxiety takes root in our hearts. The Buddha called this dukkha, the unsatisfactoriness of life. Dukkha is not just about physical pain. It's about the mental and emotional suffering that comes from wanting things to be different than they are. When we experience anxiety, we are often caught between 2 illusions: regret over the past and fear of the future. We replay old conversations in our mind, wondering what we should have said or could have done differently. We worry about tomorrow, about our health, our loved ones, the uncertainty of the world. We are rarely here, in this breath, in this moment, in this body. But the Buddha reminds us gently, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. This is not a command. It is a compassionate invitation. He understood that the mind, like a wild animal, runs towards stories and fears. But with mindfulness, we can learn to gently call it back to the breath, back to now. Anxiety from this perspective is not something to be eliminated, but something to be understood, to be observed, to be met with kindness. The Buddha taught that all things arise, exist, and pass away. Emotions, thoughts, sensations, all come and go like clouds in the sky, even anxiety. So we do not need to fight it. We do not need to chase it away. We only need to see it clearly, to breathe with it, and to remain present as it moves through us. When you sit with your anxiety, without judgment, without fear, something beautiful begins to happen. You begin to see that you are not your anxiety. You are the space in which anxiety arises and falls, like a mountain, steady and unmoved, while storms come and go around it. The more you return to your breath, the more this space becomes clear, open, and free. This is not theory. This is practice. and practice is something we can begin at any age. You do not need to understand all the teachings of the Buddha to take the first step. You only need to sit, to notice, and to breathe. You may be surprised to discover that peace has always been waiting beneath the noise. And the path to that peace begins, not with resistance, but with awareness, not with escape, but with presence, not with pushing away, but with allowing. In the next part of this journey, we will explore how the breath becomes our anchor, our teacher, and our guide, through Buddhist breathing techniques that bring calm in even the most anxious moments. But for now, pause. Feel this moment. Feel your body. Feel the breath moving in and out. No need to change it. Just notice it. That's already enough. That's already practice. And that's already peace, gently unfolding. For as long as there has been human suffering, there has also been breath. Before there were words, before we had thoughts to explain our pain, there was always breath. Simple, quiet, ever present. The Buddha understood this deeply. He didn't offer complicated philosophies to escape suffering. He offered a return to what is simple, real, and always available: the breath. In the Anapanasati Sutta, the discourse on mindfulness of breathing, the Buddha taught that by observing the breath, we can train the mind, develop insight, and gradually free ourselves from suffering. But this practice isn't reserved for monks in distant temples. It's meant for all of us, here, now, exactly as we are. The breath is our anchor. When the mind spins out of control, breath brings it back. When emotions rise like waves, breath is the stillness beneath. When we are overwhelmed, breath is the reminder that we are still alive, still here, still capable of peace. Modern science now echoes what the Buddha knew over 2,100 years ago. When we breathe slowly and consciously, our parasympathetic nervous system is activated, lowering blood pressure, calming the heart rate, and soothing the brain. But more than that, conscious breathing brings us into the present moment, the only place where life truly happens. You cannot breathe in the past. You cannot breathe in the future. You can only breathe now. That's why mindfulness of breathing is more than just a relaxation technique. It is a spiritual practice. It is a doorway, a sacred return to presence, compassion, and clarity. And what's most beautiful is that the breath asks nothing of you. You don't need to be strong. You don't need to be wise. You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to notice, to listen, to stay. As Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment." This is the heart of Buddhist practice, to come home to the now again and again through the breath. Because the breath is more than air moving through the lungs. It is the rhythm of your life. It is the bridge between body and mind. And when you breathe with awareness, you are no longer lost. You are awake. In the next part of this journey, we will gently explore 3 breathing techniques drawn from Buddhist teachings. Each one is simple, gentle, and designed to help you return to calm, no matter what you're facing. You don't need to master all of them. You only need to begin. Now that we've explored the meaning and the power of breath in Buddhist practice, you might be wondering, how exactly can I apply this in my everyday life? When anxiety rises, when the body tenses, the mind races, and nothing seems to help, how can I use the breath to return to calm? The good news is, you don't need complicated methods. You don't need to sit for hours in silence or retreat from the world. In Buddhist tradition, peace begins not in isolation, but in presence. and the breath is your invitation into presence. In this next part of our journey, I'll guide you through 3 gentle, time-honored breathing techniques. Each one is simple enough to learn in just a few minutes, yet deep enough to transform the way you meet fear, tension, and worry. Let's begin. 1. Anapanasati, mindful breathing. Let us begin with the most foundational practice in Buddhist meditation. Anapanasati, mindfulness of breath. The word anapanasati means simply this: to be aware of breathing in and breathing out. That's all. No control. No judgment. No effort to change the breath. Just awareness. Here is how you can practice it. Find a quiet place. Sit comfortably. Let your hands rest in your lap. Close your eyes if you wish. Now, bring your attention to your breath. Feel the air as it enters through your nose. Notice the rise of your chest or the movement in your belly. Follow the breath as it flows out. Gently. Don't force anything. Don't worry if your mind wanders. When it does, just gently bring it back to the next inhale and the next exhale. Let's try this together now. Just 3 breaths. Breathing in. Know that you are breathing in. Breathing out. Know that you are breathing out. Pause for 3 slow breaths. This is Anapanasati. Simple. Grounded. Present. Even a few minutes of this practice a day can bring peace into the stormiest mind. Because when you are with your breath, you are with life itself. 2. Following the breath's journey, a silent inner pilgrimage. This practice is simple, yet profound. You do not need to guide the breath. You do not need to label it. You only follow it, like a traveler following a winding path through the forest. Find a still position, seated or lying down. Let your body be at ease. Let your thoughts fall into the background, like distant sounds. Now bring your attention to where the breath begins. Notice where it enters the body. Trace its quiet path downward, perhaps through the chest, the ribs, or the belly. Feel how it lingers, then gently turns, and begins its journey outward again. You are not doing the breathing. You are simply walking beside it, like a companion walking beside a river. With each breath, you follow the same trail. In and out. In and out. But you say nothing. You count nothing. You only observe. You may feel warmth or coolness, a subtle stretch, or a soft release. Let the breath move the body like wind through tall grass, barely seen, but gently known. And as your awareness follows, you may begin to feel a quiet truth, that the breath has never needed your control, that the body already knows peace, that life is unfolding, one breath, one moment, without force. This is not a practice of doing. It is a practice of trusting. Trusting the breath. Trusting the body. Trusting this moment. When you lose track, begin again. The breath is patient. It will wait. And each time you return, the journey continues. Quiet. Unfolding. Sacred. 3. Loving-kindness breathing. Metta breath. The final technique is both a breath practice and a heart practice. It's called loving-kindness breathing, or simply metta breath. It combines breathing with gentle phrases of compassion toward yourself and toward others. This practice helps soften the grip of anxiety by replacing fear with kindness and disconnection with care. Here's how to begin. As you breathe in, silently say to yourself, breathing in, I send calm to myself. As you breathe out, breathing out, I send peace to all beings. You can change the phrases if you like, but keep them soft and sincere. Let's try this together now. Inhale, breathing in, I send calm to myself. Exhale, breathing out, I send peace to all beings. Again. Inhale. I send calm to myself. Exhale. I send peace to others. And again. Repeat 2 to 3 times. This breath connects you to something deeper, the compassion that lives inside your heart. And when your anxiety feels overwhelming, when you feel distant from the world, this loving kindness breath can bring you back, not just to calm, but to connection, to care, to love, even toward yourself. Each of these breathing techniques is a gift, a bridge from chaos to calm, from fear to freedom. You don't need to master them all at once. You only need to return, again and again, to the one that feels right for you. Even one mindful breath can change your entire moment. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore how these practices have changed real lives and how you can bring them into your everyday life, one breath at a time. Sometimes, the most powerful truths are not found in scriptures or sermons, but in the quiet moments of real life. Moments when the breath becomes more than just air. It becomes a bridge between suffering and peace. Let me share with you a few stories. They're simple, but they carry something real, a glimpse of how the breath, when practiced with presence, can gently save a moment, or even a life. Story 1. Ruth, 73. I breathed my way through the storm. Ruth lives alone in a quiet neighborhood in Oregon, a retired teacher, a widow, and like many, she's faced waves of anxiety in her later years. It started small, a restlessness before bed, worrying about her health, her children, the unknowns of aging. But one night, it became overwhelming. She felt her heart racing, her chest tightening, her thoughts spiraling. She thought she was having a heart attack. She called 911. They ran tests. Everything came back normal. Physically, she was fine, but emotionally, she was drowning. A therapist suggested she try breathing exercises. Ruth was skeptical, but she remembered something from a book she once read by Thich Nhat Hanh about simply returning to the breath. So she tried, just sitting, breathing in, breathing out, saying silently, I am here, I am safe. And over time, not all at once, her body began to listen. Today, she still lives alone. Her worries haven't disappeared. But now, when anxiety rises, she knows what to do. She sits by the window, places a hand over her heart, and breathes, as she says in her own words, I no longer fight the anxiety. I breathe with it, and somehow that changes everything. Story 2. James, 68. From panic to presence. James is a Vietnam veteran, strong, quiet, resilient. But for decades, he carried invisible wounds, trauma, panic attacks, nights of sleeplessness. He didn't talk about it. He didn't know how. Then one day at the VA hospital, a young counselor suggested mindfulness breathing. He resisted. To be honest, James says, I thought it was just spiritual fluff. I didn't believe in that kind of thing. But one night, during a panic episode, something in him softened. He remembered the technique. Breathe in for 4. Hold. Breathe out for 4. Pause. He tried. It wasn't magic. The panic didn't vanish. But something shifted. Instead of being swallowed by fear, he found a rhythm, something steady, like a hand on his back. That moment marked a turning point. Now James still wakes up some nights. The memories still visit. But he no longer runs from them. He meets them with breath. Breathing didn't erase my past, he says, but it gave me a way to live with it. And that, for me, is peace. Story 3. Lynn, 75. A simple practice at the grocery store. Lynn, a grandmother originally from Vietnam, now lives with her daughter's family in California. She never considered herself anxious, but in public places, supermarkets, loud streets, her body would tighten. She didn't know why. It felt like panic without a reason. One day, her granddaughter noticed and said gently, "Ban goai, just breathe." They had been watching meditation videos together. Lynn tried it, right there in the store aisle. She placed her hand on the cart, closed her eyes for just a moment, and silently recited, "Breathing in, I am calm. Breathing out, I smile." It wasn't dramatic. No one around her even noticed. But something inside her changed. That moment became a seed. Now, wherever she goes, at the doctor's office, in traffic, waiting in line, she returns to that breath. She smiles softly to herself. "I may not know much English," she laughs, "but the breath speaks every language." These stories are not about perfection. They are not about eliminating anxiety completely. They are about ordinary people, just like you, who discovered an ancient truth. That even in the middle of fear, you are never helpless. You have the breath. You have a way to return. The Buddha once said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." Breath, for many, has become that flame. A quiet, steady light in the darkest moments. And this practice is not just for the strong or the spiritual or the young. It is for anyone willing to pause, to listen, to begin again. Even if you've never meditated a day in your life, even if you feel overwhelmed, tired, or too old to start, you can always come back. Back to this breath. Back to yourself. Back to peace. A breath away from peace. Take a moment now. Let your shoulders relax. Soften your jaw. Let your hands rest gently in your lap. And breathe. Not to fix anything. Not to achieve anything. Just to be here. You've come a long way. Not just through this video, but through a lifetime of carrying, worrying, hoping, surviving. And through it all, the breath has been with you. Silent, steady, patient, always waiting for you to return. Today, you've been reminded, not of something new, but of something ancient, something familiar. That peace doesn't arrive when everything outside is perfect. It arrives the moment we come home, to the rhythm of our own breath. You don't need to wait for anxiety to disappear. You don't need to wait for the world to be calm. You can choose calm now, with one breath, and then another, and then another. Each breath is a doorway. Each moment is a chance to begin again. So wherever life takes you after this, whether it's a quiet morning, a busy afternoon, or a restless night, remember, peace is never far away. It's right here, just one breath away. May you be well. May you be calm. May you be free from fear. And may your breath always lead you back to the present, with kindness. If this video brought you even a moment of peace, I invite you to share it with someone you care about. You never know who might need it today. And if you'd like to continue exploring the gentle wisdom of the Buddha with me, breath by breath, step by step, please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment below to share how you're feeling right now. And don't forget to like this video if it helped you find even a little stillness. Until next time, breathe softly, live gently, and walk in peace.